in pandemic spreads very rapidly across geographical boundaries, yeah, and affects all aspects of human lives, such as economic sector, including in pandemic spreads agriculture, education, geographical boundaries, transportation and telecommunication sectors, and affects political, social, cultural, defense, and security. Economic sector. And what are the impacts of the community on the community? Education, geographical boundaries. The main and telecommunication impact that we see is there is a change in community behavior. As we all know, that there are regulations applied by the governments to limit the spread of COVID-19, such as large-scale social limitation, or what we call PSBB in Indonesia, health protection protocol, etc., and the growing public obedience to these rules and communally. The intensity of people gathering in large number tend to decrease
people who have the are actually planting
Mm-hmm.
mental plants. Actually, they are already bringing the
Yes.
plants inside their houses. So thank you very much
Mm-hmm.
again, Sir Ersid. Perhaps our
Welcome.
participants will be having their questions later. For
Oh
this
yeah.
time,
Please
yeah,
welcome.
yes, thank you very much, sir. So this time, I would
Welcome.
like to give you back Ma'am Adele Villaflor to continue with her lecture.
Okay.
Ma'am B, may I continue? We are now on the painful part of the production cycle, which I've said earlier, the winning period. Painful because the sow lost their pig and the pig lost their money. Now, after this, the next uh, situation of the sow or the sow will look like this, but they need these guys for us to go back the first step in the production cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
This
move
should
on to the
thanks.
next few slides, which remind us it's namely the Hampshire, Yorkshire or the large white, and then the main one, the Berkshire, the Land and the Berk. For nutrition, just like us, the pigs needs the following nutrients: energy, protein, minerals, vitamins, and water. And please, that feed costs will improve production 500 to 750 pesos is the cost of feed alone. Others will be the cost of other balancing. And or to make our own feeds. But if you will be buying commercial feeds, well, it's already complete. No worry about balancing the as a general rule, it is better and cheaper to prevent than to cure. And
Prevent and to
for the
cure.
least
Yeah.
cost, you have to maintain hygiene and sanitation. So, following, we farm isolated because we do not raise cows in cities or in urban places. Then prevent pathogens an organism of diseases. Okay. Then implement this action and of course quarantine, especially who are to introduce new animals in the herd. Now, our main um, success in swine production for us, it means for African are pork, rice, 300 to 400. In the you can still find pesos per kilo. So with this cost, it's really an opportunity, right? So if we try to convert this amount to rupiah, it's equivalent to about 91,000 rupiah. So that's so it's a really. We just have four factors considered in profitable and on the production cycle of or the things to do to increase profit using the same inputs. This simply means that this, sorry, moving on. Permit me to present how to increase profit using the same inputs. This simply means that you will not have one crop, but you will increase your profit. Well, first, avoid the common process of wine production, and two, you have to know to identify the sources of additional income using the same inputs. What are the common first like high and more as additional income. Baka nga, flashing, then increased liter index, increased wind piglets, and for feed, would you believe that they or during feeding period there is an a wastage of 50 to 100 grams of feed. That is equivalent to 1,500 to 3,000 grams per month for only one pig. Or that is 1.5 to 3 kilograms per month per pig. At 25 pesos per kilogram, that is 57 to 75 pesos per month. For 10 equivalent to 360 to 2 expense without any return. Then how much will it cost? Minimum of 1 feed per day times 3 will give you 6 kilograms times 25 pesos per kilogram. That is equivalent to 100. If you have 10 pigs, the cost of dairy will be 1,500. Maximum of 9 days will give you 400. Then 10 will give you 4,000, not 10 pigs will give you 4,000 additional feed cost, equivalent to 1,369,845 rupiah and 90 US dollar. So that's a lot of money spent for diseases alone, specifically diarrhea. For pneumonia, 1 day of pneumonia is equal to 5 days extended feeding. No additional gain in weight also. Then 5 days of pneumonia times 2 feeds, 2 kilograms feeds per day. Addition at 25 is 250 pesos. That is 76,000 plus rupiah and 5 US dollar. So diseases really cost additional, posing additional, giving us additional cost. So to avoid this, of course, right? What about high FCR? FCR is the feed conversion ratio. This is the amount of feed needed to convert a kilo of meat. The most desired is lowest FCR for more profit. How? Now choose breeds which are high converters of feed to meat. Then efficient feeding management. Those feed wastage will of course increase the FCR of your pigs. Then avoiding feed wastage can be done by using self-feeders. All right, so this table will give us the FCR from lowest to highest. So 2 versus 4, which will give us an expected profit of 5,400. So low FCR, higher profit, while high FCR gives you a lower profit. So the most desired is lower FCR, not high. So moving on, for mortality, of course, if the pig died at any age, no profit is expected. So avoid mortality in your swine project. Therefore, to avoid losses in swine production, we should avoid feed wastage, diseases, high FCR, and mortality. This can be avoided by just focusing on better management, thereby avoiding losses and definitely increasing profit. So what are the additional sources? First one is passing is increasing the amount of feed. Usually double the amount of feed for 5 to 7 days. What is the purpose? To allow the gill to farrow a bigger litter, depending on her condition, of course. Then, passing also increases the number of ovulated egg and a potential increase in litter size of 2. So we have 2 additional feeds for farrowing if you do plasing. Then here, you will note that we have the ovulated egg, then the expected number of fertilized egg, then the expected litter size at birth. So without plusing and with plusing on the minimum of 5 days, there is a difference of how much is this? 8, the 5,000 pesos. So that's an additional income. Or if we follow the price of 2 piglets, that is more or less 5,600. A potential addition of 2 piglets per farrowing if flushing is done. Then the increased litter index is also a source of additional income. Now, litter index is the number of farrowing per sow per year. This is computed following the number of days in the pig production cycle. Breeding period, as we have said earlier, is 1 day. Pregnancy is 114 days. Farrowing is 1 day. Lactation is 3 days. Cleaning period is 1 day. Then cleaning and disinfection is of 150. We divide the number of days per year, which is 365, by 150. The litter index is equal to 2.4. Now, comparing the litter index and the litter size at weaning, presuming that we have the same LSW, the total of piglet produced per year is higher with higher litter index and lower with lower litter index. The total sales has a difference of more or less 26,000 pesos. Okay. Then the increased weaned piglets will also give you higher value for those that are having higher litter size at weaning compared to those with lower litter size at weaning. Increased ADG. What is ADG, by the way? Average daily gain is the daily increase in weight of the pigs. The industry standard is from 800 to 1,200 grams per day. But there are cases wherein farms reported a daily increase of 1,005 grams per day. That is 1.5 kilograms per day. Increased ADG will shorten the feeding days, thereby reducing the feed cost and hence increasing profit. So example here, drums weight at market, but the starting weight is 80 kilograms. 80 kilograms will be attained in 100 days. For 900 grams a day, 80 kilograms will be attained at 88.89 days. And for 1,200 grams per day, you only need 66.6. This is 0.67. So if you try to subtract 3,333.50, you will have a savings on feed 66 and 50 centavos. Okay, so to summarize, the expected additional income using the same inputs are as follows. For feed stage, we have 75 pesos. For diseases, for 50, I only use the diarrhea. Okay? Then for high FCR, there is an expected additional income, if you avoid it, of 3,375. Mortality is 2.8. Once there is no mortality, you will not have this as your loss and income. Right? Discussing the two potential additional will cause or will give us additional income of 5,006. 2008 times 2. Then increased litter index and increased weaned piglets. This was the one in the table with a difference of 26,880. Then the 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 what do you call it? The
ADG.
cost, yeah, the savings on on feed cost because of the increased ADG is 1,650. So the giving us the total of 40,846 and 50 centavos. And for rupiah, that is equivalent to 12,434,083. And US dollar is
870.
okay. So that's actually a lot of money, but you will only try to manipulate management of an additional income in your swine production. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adelta Villaflor, for giving us the lecture on increasing profit in swine production using the same inputs. And of course, earlier we had Mr. Ursid Nadi on the optimization of information technology and its implication towards the agripreneurship orientation in the pandemic era. So, ladies and gentlemen, our resource speakers are now ready for your questions. Anyone who would like to ask from our participants, you may also write your questions in the chat box and I may just read them for you. So I can see that we have 78 participants in the meeting right now. I guess our participants are mostly coming from the agriculture sector, as our webinar this time is on agripreneurship, the opportunity and challenges after pandemic. Do you have questions from our participants? Anyone from our participants? I can see that our participants are mostly coming from, I think, Indonesia. Yes, I can see the hand of Sir Puniman Balintan. You are recognized, sir.
Thank you for Ibu Moderator. Answer for Pak Jet Nahdi. I agree with what Pak Jet. I remember the crisis economy,
Economic
where the pillar at
the most resilient sector.
How to use to know and land in the yard, for example, with family yard. Thank you, Pak Jet.
Okay, thank you, sir. I guess that's a question for Sir Ursid Nadi.
Well, okay, thank you, Pak Poniman, for your good question. Actually, what you have in mind is the same with us. I mean, the same with me, because up to now, we don't use, our piece of land around us, efficiently, to take benefit, especially for agricultural activities. Although, based on the experience, especially during the early part of the COVID-19 pandemic in certain areas of Indonesia, especially in big cities. There are a good movement or development of the people who are now realizing the potentials of, for example, like family garden, etc., that actually can be used more effectively and more efficiently to produce agricultural goods. But we have also to remember that now we are also coming into an era which are heavily influenced by what's that, IT development. So we should also include IT inputs as much as possible, yeah, to manage our family agriculture or family farm. And the examples that I gave in my presentations is actually taken from certain cities in Java. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Thank you, sir. Terima kasih. Thank you, sir. We have our question from Nova Laili Wisuda. This time it's for Dr. Adelfa. The question is whether diarrhea and pneumonia can decrease in pigs.
Thank you for that question.
Ma'am, nakamute ka po. I don't know. You are using my...
Ayo lah, jelak lah. Live masa sing iku
May I request participants? May I request participants?
Keluar, Mbak. Malah bahas babi.
Excuse me. May I request participants to please put your microphones on silent mode?
Mengadakan, ya.
Lang.
Keluar bicaranya malah bahas babi barang.
Mute mo lang, ma'am. Tapos i-unmute mo na lang sa diri mo po.
Okay lang. Thank you for that question. Actually, as I've said earlier, if your pigs will be sick of diarrhea and pneumonia, you will extend the feeding from 3 to 5 days. But in some cases, because of our siguro, it's because of our experience, we really observe decrease in weights if they have this, or they can even be dead if you will not do anything. Okay, so it decreases ADG, even it will only occur in few days. Ano daw tamakan? Nadadangon ako. Okay. So in cases wherein the ADG is not affected, well, that is your luck because you have maybe a very good management. But in some cases, it is really experience that there is a decrease in ADG. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Adelfa. We have another question for Sir Sid Nadi. This time it's from Universitas Murias Kudus. Okay, anyway, the question is, have countries changed import regulation during this pandemic era? How does this regulation affect entrepreneurship sector? Sir Sid? again. The question is, have countries changed import regulation during this pandemic era? How does this regulation affect agripreneurship sector? The question is for Sir Ersin Nadi.
Majority, sa mga sources.
Kamute po akong dua. Sir Ersin, can you hear me? You are still on mute, sir. Oh yeah, okay, sir. Perhaps sir is rereading the question from the chat box. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let me read the question first. There are two questions actually for me. The first one is, have countries changed import regulation during this pandemic era? And then the second question is, how does this regulation affect agripreneurship sector? The first one is, have countries changed import regulation during this? Frankly speaking, I'm not quite sure about that, but the government, to make regulations, dealing with this pandemic condition. And the second question, for the second question, how does this regulation affect agripreneurship sector? I think the main point is that such regulation limits people activities, which in turn, will have some direct or indirect impacts to or effects to agripreneurship. For example, to some people, they are so afraid of going to traditional markets, to avoid crowds. And so this actually will be a good opportunity, for the entrepreneurs in agriculture to take his or her chance, to use that potential. So they can do something which actually offers their products, and can send it directly to the buyers rather than waiting the buyers to come to us. These kind of things, I think, will become potentials to develop agripreneurship, especially in family scale. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, that's right, very right. That we can always look for the positive things in the pandemic. Anyway, we have another question for Dr. Adelfa. The question is coming from Tangu Prakuso. Is the Philippine pig farm a majority there, I think, here in the Philippines? And how does the government support the farm there? Okay, so thank you for that question. Yes, most of us here in the Philippines. Ma'am, nakamute ka po. Ma'am, nakamute ka po.
Right. Yes, most of us here in the Philippines raise because we consider this as our savings. In the status, if the providers are considered
Excuse me. Yeah, can you?
55% are having 10 soul levels below. That is actually 100 at any one time. And 35% are commercial research topics. The government especially in the allocation of the African or we call it in short as ASF, because some of the places here are depopulated, but they were given a certain amount to recover their capitalization. And then we also have programs on dispersal, and maybe they will pursue with this after depopulating all the piggeries that we have in the area where ASF was found. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Adelpha. We have another question for Sir Said Nadi. This time, the question is, how do we increase the interest to the agripreneurship or to the agripreneurs in the pandemic condition where consumer purchasing at this condition is decreased? How do we increase the interest to the agripreneurs in the pandemic condition where consumer purchasing is decreased? Yes, that's very right. We don't have chances to be going out. Anyway, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Well, actually, this is a good question, but this question is actually goes back to us. So, should we imagine? Should we answer honestly? Are everyone is every one of us interested to become an entrepreneur or agripreneur or not? So the answer is up to him or herself. The main thing is that if we would like to become an entrepreneur, especially in agriculture, first of all, that we have to think how to make market for our products. So how do we influence people, yeah, to become interested to our products? Well, this is actually the marketing principles that we have to answer. And then, yeah, if we see that the pandemic condition in general, yeah, give us signals that the consumer purchase level is now decreasing. To be honest, I would like to say no, it's wrong, because actually people need something to consume, yeah, including food, yeah, staple food, for example. They need other supplements, just like vegetables, meat, for example. And it actually goes back to us. Are we attracted or interested to see this as an opportunity to do business? So the answer is again back to ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have another question for Dr. Adelpha. From Sir Puniman. The question is, what is the most dominant factor for pig farming? Because with the pandemic, the demand for meat will certainly increase. But on the other hand, food supply is somewhat disrupted. How do we solve this?
All right. So The most common factor for pig farming is that these animals are very efficient converters of meat. They can produce meat from vegetable rejects. They are supposed to be wasted, but when given to pigs, they will be converted into pork. We can also use slaves or kitchen refuse. That is if you only have few eggs. So you start small and just grow with it. So by doing this, you can, of course, increase the food supply, especially the pork. This time in our country, it's an opportunity, as I've said, because the cost of pork is rising. So if you will only be if you will only be spending a little, because you will be using the kitchen refuse as your fees, of course, not only
Yes.
helping the
Another question.
but of course giving you an additional income. Okay, that's
Thank you very much, Dr. Adelfa. We have another question for Sir Said Nadi. Our participants are really interested in the topics of Sir Said and Ma'am Adelfa. Anyway, so we have very active participants about centralization area for agriculture, of course, for support agripreneur in this case, or for supporting agripreneur in this case. What is your opinion about centralization area?
Well, to some extent, or in general, I can say it's a good idea. But if we would like to practice this thing, then we should also carefully monitor the activities and see and make some evaluations, because I believe in every kinds of activities, yeah, there are advantages and disadvantages. So while we are still working in that, yeah, we can then evaluate what are the constraints we find in our practice, and what are the advantages. Then we can evaluate and improve our activities to minimize the disadvantage that we will find in the future, or limited it, and then we can foster or boost the former advantages for the better benefit of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess that is the last question for this webinar. May I just read to you some of the comments? Thank you, sir. Maybe this is on the question of the decrease in the purchase of our consumers. Anyway, just let me share to you, in the Philippines has become more on online purchasing, although I don't know if that will be very applicable to agricultural products. But for agricultural products, what we have here in the Philippines is more on peddlers. So the market goes to the consumers than the consumers going to the market. It has been the products. We have the online purchasing. So anyway, comments also from, yes, we have from Sir Poniman. Is there a link for the attendance list? I hope that our participants have registered. And if you have registered, you will send through your email an evaluation form. And of course, please don't forget to answer the evaluation form and send it back so that you will also be sent your e-certificate afterwards.
May I raise a
Again,
question?
I hope that
Just a short question to Dr. Adele. Okay, ready? Excuse
Ersin,
have a short question for Dr. Adele,
yes,
if I may say that.
go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you. Well, actually, I'm interested in your presentation, but as you know that most of Indonesians are Muslims, so they are not familiar with swine production, but in some part, yes. But what I have in mind is that is your, especially for goats, etc. Because I think this is a good lesson that we can get from
Sorry.
uh, for us in Indonesia. Yeah, we are most of us are Muslims, and uh, uh, swine production is forbidden religiously. Although to some others it's okay, but what is your opinion about implementing your concept to other kinds? So
Yes,
Madam,
sir. Yes, sir. Raising other animals like ruminants, the big and the small ruminants is also done, but definitely they have different
I
care
see. Yeah.
management practices. It's different
Mhm.
topic.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Salamat.
thank you, sir. So thank you very much, Dr. Adelfa. So I guess that is the last of the questions from our participants and of course from Mr. Pearson Nadi. Oh, no more. And we are 15 minutes beyond the time allotted for
I
this
see.
dinner.
It's
Okay.
okay.
Yes, because of we have also started a little late as earlier due to our internet disruption. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to bring this webinar to a close. And I hope that we have learned so much from our speakers. Especially, I can see that our participants are really interested. Of course, making profit in swine production using the same inputs. And Mr. Ursid Nadi talked about the optimization of information technology and its implication towards the entrepreneurship orientation in the pandemic era. So I hope the discussions earlier and of course the questions from the participants and how our resource speakers responded to these questions help us a lot to be able to cope with the challenges in this pandemic time. With this, I would also like to acknowledge the organizing team, of course, from Central Bicol State University of Agriculture. The organizing team is no less than the Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Ana E. Miranya. Of course, Dr. Adelfa Villaflor is the Dean of the Graduate School, and yours truly, as your moderator, Dr. Claribel Hadel. And from Universitas Murias Kudus, we have Mr. Motokar. So with this, again, may I remind you, please don't forget to answer the evaluation form that will be sent through your email. I hope that everyone really has registered through the link that was given to you, so that she will also be sent an certificate. With this,
Excuse me, ma'am. Before we close the webinar,
oh,
can we have the photo session
yes, sir.
for this webinar?
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Sorry, I forgot about that. And by the way, I am very, very happy to see it. May I request everyone to please open your cameras and of course give your best smile.
We'll take
Robert,
the photo
Please,
from yours and
may we
from mine too.
request